Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the thing today with minor attracted persons, as is the buzz at the moment. And in some places you can be have your videos taken off or cancelled or put in the sin bin for even using the pedo word. So it's times are certainly changing rapidly. And why not? I mean, if we look at the three big fault lines, or four big fault lines the globalist uses to disrupt and destroy and otherwise fuck up Western society, it's climate change, race, gender, and sexuality issues. So those are the big four, and the sexuality one is the one they're pushing quite hard at the moment, and pretending that there are gazillions of people that want to transition from one gender to another, and they're being oppressed, and it's anyone that disagrees with this or disagrees with teachers pushing this sort of stuff in the high schools and the primary schools and even the kindergartens. Anyone that disagrees with that is Hitler. So Hitler. So let's have a sort of closer look. One of my concerns is creating, as it is in other areas of jurisprudence, is creating two systems of justice. So if the straight white male has sexual relations with the 16-year-old girl, he is a pedophile. But if the 40-year-old brown gay man has sexual relations with the 15-year-old white boy, then that's not, no, they're just minor attracted person. No, there's nothing wrong. I mean, just forget about it, move on. I mean, you damn racist, fascist, Nazi bigot. So there are two tiers of justice here. The people who work in support of social disruption in the West, they're not to be charged or imprisoned or anything like that. But if you're a straight white male, with the 16-year-old girl, then oh boy, you're in trouble, as it always was. So it really changed or added a dimension of justice. And I'll talk about a few examples just to illustrate the point. Now, there's some people we know who've got they're both former sort of basketballer type, quite sporty people, and we've known of some time, and this is going back a couple of years now, but they've got a 15-year-old daughter, and she was about 6 foot tall, voluptuous. They're very confident, physically confident, the way she'd look, the way she talked to me and look at me, and other sort of men. She had a confidence. I don't know how deep the confidence went, but certainly on the surface, confident way beyond her years. She'd easily have passed for someone in her early 20s. And she just had that look of someone who just, I know how to deal with men. I know what men want. I can control men. And even at 15, she had that look in her eye. And I found it rather disconcerting, actually. The parents sort of pretended not to notice it. And I didn't want to comment, but we only ever saw her briefly as we were, say, arriving to meet her folks and go out to dinner. So, or if we'd be over for maybe a barbecue, but given her age and we're the oldest, she didn't hang around. So I saw her just occasionally, but her sexuality was manifest at 15, for goodness sakes. Now, one night we're going over there again to the folks. We're going out for dinner, and she was going out for some big night on the town, and she had this spray-on body hugging micro mini skirt, the heels, the fishnet stockings. I mean, she looked really sexy and was pulling it off. I mean, she was, it was the confidence, the way she filled out the clothes, the voluptuous. If someone said, "Hey, that girl's just turned 16," you go, "No way, she's 25 years old." So it turned out she was having I don't know how long, an intimate relationship with a man in his mid to late 30s, and I don't doubt it. I'm not surprised. But the parents took it to, wanted to take it to court. They couldn't really get the government was sort of interested enough, but they weren't pursuing it with vigor. Now the court case was such, and the parents were sort of really got a wake up call here. She'd been aggressively pursuing sex with this man, ribald tweets and that sort of thing. And so there was no question that, was he a predator? That just wouldn't have flown. She was the predator if you really want to look at it. And if you think of the guy concerned he probably was a bit of a mummy's boy or something when he was younger. He's a good-looking guy and everything, but she was in control. You could tell that. When the parents kind of wanted him, and the government half-heartedly, I guess, wanted to put this straight white guy in prison, but she almost guaranteed he was going to get off. She'd turn up to court in super sexy clothing and very revealing clothing, and she would speak when she was giving evidence. It would be, I really wanted to fuck him as hard as I could, and things like that. That you wouldn't sort of suspect it would come out of the mouth of a 16-year-old, but he wasn't going to get jail time, not with that. And so he got some good behaviour bond or something like that, which I don't think he should have got. But anyway, they still sort of went after him, and they still treated him as a criminal, even though every shred of evidence pointed to the fact there was nothing criminal about it. Now, they were getting on the technicality that because in this jurisdiction you have to be 17 before you can legally consent to having sexual relations with someone who's older than 17. If someone's under 17, then no one cares. But if someone older than 17, then you have to be 17 to consent to it, or legally consent. It's called informed consent. And given she wasn't 17 at the time, they used that technicality to go after him. Now, if you compare the same case as, say, a 15 or 16-year-old gay boy having, or maybe a young man a boy is not clear on what his sexuality is, and he gets seduced by or led astray by a 40-year-old gay guy, then the government and the prosecution, the justice man, they don't really seem very interested in that, if not at all. Same with the 40-year-old lesbian with a 15-year-old, don't care. But they only seem to care about the pedophile issue if it's a straight white guy. Now, just looking at another one, he's a guy who's like a sports coach, and I've mentioned this one previously. And one of the girls in his I'm not sure what he was coaching actually, basketball or something. Again, very tall, very voluptuous, extremely well-developed girl at the age of 15, and with a sex addiction, I think is how you describe it. And again, aggressively pursuing this guy who's he's only a young guy. He's just like 21 years old or something, and she's 15. I'm not sure he was even 21. I think he might have been younger than that. But and this was a relationship that went on over quite some time, more than 12 months, where and she would again send you ribald texts, come and meet me on the beach and fuck me senseless, things like that. So it was there was no sort of ambiguity about where she was going. Now, if you see her photographs, there's no way she passes for 15. No way. I mean, she's this tall, very well built, very sexy looking girl, and again could pass for being in her 20s without any problem at all. And so fast forward some years, and her life is in a bit of a mess. So she decides that he really was a pedophile after all, and figures that she can score some money out of it, some victim points. This is the reason why my life isn't working out. It's that damn fascist Nazi. So again, you got the straight white guy. The government really takes it up after like more than 10 years. The government's case is again technical. They concede there was no oppression or anything. They concede she was aggressively pursuing sexual relations. They concede that it was fully consensual. They concede all of those things. So they nail the guy in the technicality, or two technicalities. One, that she's under the age of 17, therefore her consent has no legal standing. And that because he was like the assistant coach in whatever it was, that he had a duty of care and he was negligent in that duty of care. I do accept that part, by the way. and again, if some frail little tiny little shrinking violet of a girl, oh, I'm just a little girly, then that would be different. It's not. This is a tall, physical, sexually aggressive girl who's constantly sending multiple texts a day. I want you to fuck me, and that. So there's no this idea of oppression and big bad straight white male oppressor. No, that's bullshit. It just simply wasn't that. She was clearly the aggressor. Again, the court sort of accepted. I'll just bypass. We'll treat that as irrelevant, and we'll nail this guy in the technicalities. They sent him. They sent him to prison for that. Now, there are numerous cases where, as best I can tell, where there's sexualization of children, either directly, as in sexual relations, or say in the case of activist school teachers pushing gay, lesbian, transgender issues on quite young children, 5, 6, 7 years old. And there's a tremendous reluctance by the Justice Department of any Western country to do anything about that. It's clearly a part of the globalist plank for social destabilization of the West, and thus an essential sort of component of the globalist project. So the globalist controlled governments and teachers' unions are not only not stopping it, but they're rejoicing in it in as much as it creates the social division and confusion that they seem to rejoice in for reasons don't understand. The globalist, I kind of get it, because it makes the West much weaker and allows the globalists much more leeway in taking over and controlling everything. But some of these other players, I don't get it. I assume they're controlled by the globalists. Can't see what benefit. Maybe all the teachers can't be gay, lesbian, and think that, well, now we've got access to all these young children. That seems improbable. But when I look at the various cases, there are the rewards for pushing this transgender and sexualizing children are pretty good. There's some teachers have put out some incredible videos on TikTok and other places explaining what they're doing, the outrageous illegality and so on of how they're treating and sexualizing and abusing children. And even if the school or educational institution does get around to firing them, which is itself like a 50-50 proposition, no matter how outrageous their misbehavior is, what I'm finding is they're getting another job, even a better job, almost straight away, or being looked after in some way by the globalists. Again, if you perform a service for globalization, which these teachers clearly do, sexualizing children and again creating that social division, then the globalists want to reward you until they'll give you another job so you can do it somewhere else. This is even evident in areas, particularly, say, of gender conflict, where district attorneys and public prosecutors, that sort of thing, will conspire to hide, conceal evidence that would let the straight white guy off the hook. That he didn't do it, he wasn't there, or something like that. But so they hide evidence, which is illegal, conspiracy to commit perjury, all these sorts of things in a court. Now, if they do get found out, then they get struck off the record for practicing law in the state that they're in. But they go to then the next state or the other place down the road, and they just get another job, working for an NGO, working for another government department, and typically having more money, having a better job with more prestige than the job they had previously. Now, really, those sort of people, they should not be allowed anywhere near. The penalty for that should be that they've got to take a shit job, pushing a broom somewhere. That's the penalty for willful conspiracy to commit perjury, malicious conspiracy to commit perjury to fit up the straight white male who didn't do it. But such is the structure of the Justice Department in the West today, all over the West, is that the straight white male, it doesn't matter whether he did it or not. He's a fucking straight white male. Therefore, he's a white supremacist. He's a fascist. He's a Nazi. He's a bigot. He's a racist. He's Hitler. And any straight white male really really needs to be put away as an example to others. Whether they committed any crime or not is beside the point. So these people who were doing these terrible things, perverting the course of justice, conspiracy to commit perjury, concealing evidence, all this sort of stuff, they're getting better jobs. There was one that got, it was such a notorious case that they really couldn't give him another job or fix him up. So the day that he got kicked out of practicing law, the very day or the very next day, his wife was given a $400,000 a year job. His wife was given a $400,000 a year job with all sorts of sundry benefits, and so the guy may not have a job himself and may not have any direct income himself, but they're looking after him again by giving his wife an excellent job. So we really need to. I mean, the issue of the transgenderism and all this sort of stuff is something we really need to look at, and I believe, is the effect it has on jurisprudence. That if you're a straight white male with a 16-year-old girl, you can still be a pedophile. That's okay, and the Justice Department will pursue you with vigor. But if you're gay or lesbian and do the same thing, or you're black, or that sort of thing, you're any racial minority, then it becomes it's completely different. Then you're not guilty anymore. You've done nothing wrong. Hey, who cares? Now this is this is hardly a good thing, and needs to be. I think needs to be pushed back against, but it seems to be how things are at the moment in so many areas. The minority person commits murder, who cares? The white person does it, fuck, international headlines, put that motherfucker in prison. And this is this two-tiered system of justice, which is now sticking out like a sore thumb. So you've been with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for listening.